Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk today about Brent Kavanaugh, the nominee to be on the Supreme Court. Um, a lot of things happened the last couple days, and I just want to put my little 2 cents out there. There's something going on here that I talk about on my channel quite a bit. Um, the incident, the woman came out and accused Brett Kavanaugh when he was 17 years old of doing something he shouldn't have done. But I just want to look at a different way because nobody will talk about this on the TV shows or on the radio shows. They won't say what I'm about to say. Evidence has come out, or research or whatever has come out, saying this person admitted that she was very promiscuous during that time, that she had several lovers, let's say, from about 16 till her early 20s, I guess. When you look at the numbers, it's pretty shocking how many she had. Because in the 1980s, I grew up the same time. I think me and Kavanaugh are about the same age. So it wasn't it wasn't the 70s. There was the whole idea that AIDS was just being known during that time. So we weren't doing all this shit and having sex every 5 seconds. But obviously, teenage players or people were actually having sex during that time. So I want to just tell you what I have to think, what I believe, because my claim, or whatever I say in this video, is as valid as her accusation 36 years later. Mine is just as valid as what she's going to say. So this person was promiscuous, and back then it would have been clearly what we would call, it would have been a 4-letter word called slut, and apparently she likes that because she's one of those pussy wearing hats person. She's a leftist, supported Clinton many times. Even when he was accused of all this stuff, she still supported Clinton during that time. I'm talking about the male Clinton, but she also supported Hillary Clinton as well. She works she's a doctor at a university in California. So basically, I'll just give you a scenario of what she claims happened. Now, she's changed her story, and we also find out now that it's possibly one of those submerged memories, that she knows what, she doesn't know everything else that's going on. She doesn't know what year it was. She's not sure whether she was a sophomore or a junior, but she knows it was Brett Kavanaugh, and she knows that the other guy with him, she knows who that is. So first she said there were 4 boys in the room. They shut the door. They held her down. He did, Brent. And then he put his hand over her mouth. And then the other guy came up, just was playing and fell on top of it, and she got out of the room. Okay. Obviously, on the faith of that seems pretty nasty, let's say, or inappropriate, certainly for a 17-year-old even to do it. But in her own statement, she claims she was drinking, and he was sloppily drunk, or very, very drunk. And notice how people say this. They don't want to take enough responsibility, saying, I was also drinking quite a bit that night. If she was what she claims, 15 years at that time, obviously she was doing things against the law, and so was he, and she was drunk. And we know that 15-year-old girls can't handle their liquor. We all know this, right? It could be 2 or 3 beers, and she could have been very flirty with him. And then whatever. Nobody was in the room. And obviously, later on, she said it was only 2 people in the room. And then she blames her therapist for bringing that out. And this didn't come out till it was 2012, and this stress, or this trigger, came out, and she discussed about it in family counseling. This is what I think has actually happened here. This is a leftist person who believes the narrative of the left, saying that all women are victims, and the person that is at the top of all the oppressors on this is the popular elitist white male. Now, can you imagine in her life that, I don't know how many kids she has, I don't really care at this point, but she got married pretty late in life, I think in 2012 or 2002, and she's close to my age. She's 51, I think. So she got married almost when she was in her 40s, or 30s, which is pretty late for a female, but regardless, she was doing things. Before I go on that, all this thing that traumatized her so much that it made so much that she became a doctor and a professor at a university in California. So, I mean, it really killed her by that. If this actually happened, I mean, it just stopped her from actually having a life, but whatever. But anyway, she's one of these leftist professors. As we know, that the college campuses in the United States have gone from almost 1-to-1 conservative and liberal professors to 25-to-1, and in some disciplines, it's over 100-to-1. So you don't really, she's living in this echo chamber. She believes that all guys, especially white guys, are oppressors, that clearly he could be the epitome of this. So I think this is some sort of narcissism and projection going on right here. Because she was just giving her body away to every these people during that time, that she looks back at that time and said, this is the one guy that actually came out and did a really good thing, and he's become a Supreme Court justice, and I screwed up with him, and I have to use him as the reason why I'm, I don't know, happy at this point. That's why I'm in therapy, and I'm not really happy, but I could have happened with him. But he's the top of the spear. He is the white male aggressor, oppressor. So I'm gonna get this in my mind that he did this to me, even though that's not really what happened. Now, what we hear is she's passed a lie detector test. Now, when I heard this the other day, I was tweeting with Ashley Snow, who's a writer for I think it's the Washington Examiner, which is more of a conservative paper. And I said, I would like to see what the questions were. She's saying that, was it which person actually did this to you? Did he actually say it's Brent Kavanaugh? And I mean, I would like to see what maybe she was somewhat assaulted during that time. That's my son in the background, so don't worry about it. But how do we know he was actually in the room? But apparently, the other guy that was in the room came out because he was in the report that the Democrats didn't come out with for 2 months, almost 3 months. And he basically denies it. But he said, I was drinking during that time. And she clear that she had a problem with drinking as well. She was 15 years old. She was having drinks. She was hanging out. And this is what people did. I mean, even before the 1980s, there was this time when you had all female schools and all male schools. And these are usually from elitist areas. The top kids going to these type of schools. And then every, 3 or 4 months, they would have these little get-togethers, dances, or things that would do. And when you kind of shack up people that long, that they do things like this. And I believe wholeheartedly that if this actually happened, I doubt the idea that he put her hand over her mouth. There's no way do I believe that happened. But I think this was miscommunication. She was drunk, he was drunk. But we know, I said this on the channel so many times, that it doesn't matter if you're both drunk. They're still going to blame the man, no matter what. No matter what happens, they're going to blame the man, because we have to be responsible for everything, every action that happens during that sexual encounter, no matter what. Even if she's saying, go ahead and fuck me, if she remembers it's something else, everybody's going to still defend this person, this female person, because we look at women lower than us. We think that they can't control themselves. And this is nothing new. We did this in the law for a long time. Men were responsible for the actions that women did that were illegal. We were responsible for that, not them, because we looked at them differently. I don't look at women this way. I look at women the same level. I think that we have different things that we're good at overall. Not everybody is, but in a group dynamic, yes, their guys are better at this, and girls are better at this. Maybe being more empathetic, that's what women do, and more leadership might be men do. But that's a different video. So it doesn't really surprise me, but I just want to get this out. If guys are like this, and this is very easy to find out, guys are predators like this. They don't just do it once. There should have been a cavalcade of women that would come out and said, yeah, he did this to me, or I felt unsafe with him. It's possible that this did happen. He was drunk, she was drunk, he reflected it, and he forgot about it, let's say, or he just reflected on it and said, you know what, that isn't right what I did, even though I was drunk and she was drunk, and he never did it again. I mean, I don't know what that means. If he learned his lesson, and I don't know. Personally, it has no bearing on him being a Supreme Court justice. There was no law breaking here. She believed something was amiss. She thought that he was going to kill her, although he There's nothing in any of this that's true that would have that. And she really believed that way. She obviously would have told her father, and he would have done something about it. This idea that men won't do anything about it is stupidity. But I really honestly believe this, that she looked at him, because you got to understand the echo chamber of this, how they look at white males right now. And we all see it. People on the alt-right already see that, but I see it from a different area. I think about when these people, even though they're privileged, she obviously came from a well-to-do family, and she went to the private schools, and she became a doctor. I don't know what her field is, but I'm sure it's something on that side, on the sociology side. I doubtful that it's something like engineering. And they just get indoctrinated in this bullshit and said, you know what? Even though I had 65 parters when I was 15 to 80 to 15 to 21, but that's not really my fault. I don't have any responsibility for that. And they just figure this all out, that they're victims all the damn time. And then when they find out the person that she had these, whatever it was, and obviously nothing more than that happened, even though she was very promiscuous at that time. But she has that thought, oh, I screwed up here. I could have stayed with him. Look where he got to. And I would mean something. I would have more. Even though I'm a doctor and everything else, they just believe this stuff. Or she painted the whole thing at the top of her Christmas tree. At the top, instead of where the star is, it says there's a picture of him. Said he is the epitome of this male privilege, white male privilege, elitist privilege, because he's a frat guy. And he might have family, he might have been going to parties, and he thought that the whole world is his, that he looked like a normal man, and, showing his testosterone. And they fall into this thing, and fortunately for her, she's married. I don't know her husband, but whatever. But a lot of women they just rail at this, and they blame everybody except looking at themselves, actually saying, why am I feeling this way? And I think this is the biggest case of projection ever. She's going to couple therapy, and whatever was happening in their own relationship, she's bringing up an event that happened back then, 6 years ago, so it had been 30 years ago, and that's why she can't open up. She can't be trusting to her husband, even though they've been together for 10 years. There's something more here. I think that she probably might have had a fatal attraction to him, and although he didn't know what was going on, she remembered that. And then she realized how important he had been, and she talked about that to her therapist, saying that, he's he's very powerful in Washington D.C. And so she knew, she was following what he was doing. Now, I guess this happens with women; they will follow the people that they have this thing with. It's almost like they have a relationship with them. Although this was probably something happened less than 1 minute, where they were flirty with each other. She claimed that she's already been that way. She was very promiscuous in high school. And she was drunk like he was, but he was just more drunk. And he was fumbling around her like most 17-year-old guys are. Clearly I did it when I was doing there. I was with a 14-year-old at that time. Not that happened. But she wanted me to do it, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So this was what happens. You grope up, you're like, what should I do here? But the idea that this is where it gets to the next level, and I don't believe this part. I probably believe that they were doing stuff together. I mean, she was a decent, nice-looking girl. Looking online, she was a nice-looking girl. In high school, he was a nice-looking guy. They're drinking. You have the hormones going on. This is going to happen, right? I doubt that they turned the radio on, and she became this big victim. And all of a sudden, when she was protesting that he covered her mouth. And then with two guys on the bed, when they both were there to basically rape her, in her mind, that they just allowed her to get out the room. That part I don't believe. I believe that she probably got, she said that she wasn't into it and got up and left. And they went on with their life. He forgot about it. And apparently she forgot about it, even though she said it damaged her life, even though, again, she went to an elite university and became a doctor, and she's been a professor for a long time. And she's fallen into this bullshit leftism and just paints women as victims. And it's stupid. And the fact that she knew that, I think and I'd have to look at this, because the last time he was approved of anything, it was probably about at that same time. And if she had any integrity, she would have came forward and said this back then in 2012. Last time he was confirmed by the Senate for his last job. She should have done this. Now she's going to do it now. And the other part of it is this is all, I hate to be paranoid about this, but the Democrats had this in July. Feinstein didn't say anything until right at the very end of this and said, but I didn't want to do anything because she didn't want to do anything. And you knew what was coming next. Of course they were going to find out who this was. This is the media. It's like, this was a dog whistle to the media to say, okay, now find who this is. And then she's like, yeah, now I'll talk about it. This woman has no issue about talking. She's a professor. She talks to people every day. And I can tell you what's going to happen, regardless of what happens, whether he gets confirmed or not. She's going to have her time with the Senate. I don't know if it's going to be public or not, but she's going to be able to go on every talk show that supports this idea that women are victims. And then she's going to have her own book, and she's going to get millions and millions out of this. And she's going to be Anita Hill to be this champion for women. When Anita Hill it's just stupid. And she's part of the Me Too, I guess you could say. But obviously people say, well, this could never happen today because guys, you can't do anything like this. So back then we were just Neanderthals when we dealt with being with each other. But now if we did it now, it would be like sexual assault. Well, okay, whatever. Oh, it's totally different now. You can't really do that. We can't look at it from the prism of today. I'm like, what did he do? And are you really going to use this? And then we're going to allow her to go into for Congress. So all these Republicans are like, yeah, she should come out here and talk. And so we'll just give anybody this platform just to spew this idea. And the idea that we can't just say, you know what, there might be something here. When she's a leftist, that she talks about shit like this, that she marches at the vagina of whatever marches and basically says that Trump's this. Clearly she's probably pro-abortion. Everything else that the left is for right now. And they all look at white males as the problem. And if you're a guy that was from a frat that was an elitist all his life, he becomes in the government and becomes a Supreme Court nominee. It's like, this is my way to just basically take down the patriarchy. Because in her mind, looking at his face, that's what she sees. So nobody wants to bring it up. I'm bringing it up. Let me know in the comments what you think about my idea. Do you think that it has some validity to it? I think it does. I think it's very similar that this is what it is. It's going to be very, hopefully it's not going to be like it was with Clarence Thomas. It should never be public, and it should be in prime time. I remember that when that happened. It was on every fucking channel. And I mean, really, in my house, when he responded to the Senate, was probably the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you know what? I was a Democrat back then. You know, I was a lefty person, but I sympathized with him based on what some female said, that he put a pubic hair on her Coke. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, you can't even talk to people. And now this is what you believe? Anyway, as I said many times on my channel, most of all this stuff is miscommunication. There was no intent by him. And whether she had a polygraph and it said that she's telling the truth, well, in her mind, she could probably think that's the case. But when you're talking about remembering a lost memory, that is very fraught with problems right there. We had the whole thing back with the kids back in the 70s. I think she remembered that he was with her, that he's very important, that he's going to be in a very powerful thing, and she's probably worried about Roe versus Wade might be overturned. I mean, this is a person, again, that walked in these marches, and clearly she's pro-abortion, pro-choice, whatever you want to call it. So she wants to stop it from happening. And the idea when, oh, I don't want to talk about it, but as soon as she was asked, she said, of course I will. She wants it. It's not just for herself, but it's for the resistance at large. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.